Hello, Gemma here, Pilates level 1. So we're going to start some mobility. Firstly, remember if you're injured, this is not appropriate for you to be doing. If anything feels uncomfortable, then you just stop at any point, okay? Remember to listen closely for adaptations and alternatives as we go, and hopefully you will enjoy the session. I'm going to apologise now because I feel like my brain is a little bit scatty today, or should I say more scatty than normal, and that is like including my mouth, my speech and my sentences. So I apologise if I'm waffling and you think, Gemma, you're not making sense, because I feel like my brain's just not there today. So as much as well, not much, a little bit less than it normally is, let's say. So let's start with our pelvic tilts. So start with the feet hip distance apart. Remember, we can either have our feet so that we can take them and turn them out like Mary Poppins, heels turn out, we've got our hip distance, but we've also got our thumb and our little finger that we can take over our feet and just check that the toes are sitting in those points. So tailbones under, shoulder blades are back and down, and we're breathing nice and steadily. So not doing our lateral breath yet, just breathing nice and steadily. Let's just begin with soft knees and a gentle rock of the pelvis. So bringing that rock back and forth. Remember, we're all different. Our range of movement is all different. So just nice and steady. I feel like I should just be doing this in mute today because I feel like my mouth is just like not working properly. The brain and mouth are not connecting together. So we're just rocking backwards and forwards. Nice and steady, controlled. And then we're going to tuck it under and hold. So what's happening is as we're doing that rock, we're lengthening out those back muscles. As we tuck it slightly under, we come into that neutral spine position where again we've got that lengthening. We've also got a little of that synovial fluid pumping about and lubricating our joints. Next thing to do is focus on our breath work. So let us just take our focus into our breathing. So we're breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. So into the rib cage. So now you've got used to that, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, rib cage, breath, that lateral breath. We've got our neutral spine. Let's take our focus into our pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor starts at the back of the bottom, comes through to the middle, round to the front. We're going to just contract those muscles from the back all the way around to the front. So you should feel like a lifting up as we do so. So once we've lifted up, then let it just relax from front to back. Let's just do that a few times. So we're lifting up, we've got all those contractions going on, and then we're relaxing. So lifting up and relaxing. So nice and steady, controlled, taking our time. And then very gently this time, contract and hold in position. So you've got it there, hold it in position, shoulder blades back and down, nice and steady. We've now got our neutral spine, our breath that we need, our lateral breathing, our pelvic floor connected. Let us take our focus into our belly button. So let's begin to draw the belly button in towards the spine. Drawing the belly button in towards the spine, shoulder blades back and down, arms by the side. And we want about a 25-30% connection going on. So you can move freely, feel comfortable, but you know that there's stability and connection there. Let's just have some simple chin drops to the chest. So just dropping the head, looking forward. Just 5 of these. Loosen into the back of the neck and the top of the shoulders. And then lifting the head up, let's have some cervical rotation. So just to the side, center, side, center. And we're breathing in as we rotate, exhaling as we come back to the center. bring it back. This time, nice and steady, double chin, squeeze in, release. So lots of neck release work here going on before we get into our work. So remember, we're just in mobility, we're squeezing that chin in, giving ourselves a double chin, feeling the muscles stretch out on the back of the neck, on the stare, the centimetacroid, the shoulders. And one more, and relax. Nice and steady, just lift the shoulders up, back and down. Just give me 3 rotations back and 3 rotations forward. So just lifting up, back and down, and then we lift up, back and down. And the last one. Nice and steady, start with some lateral flexion. So sliding down, remembering that if we've got osteoporosis, we're going to be keeping this range small. So nice and steady, controlled, taking our time. And if we wanted to, we could take it a little bit away from the body. Remember, we want to be equal on both sides, so that distance always wants to be equal. So controlled. So that's a one more to the left. And relax. Bring the hands across the chest. Lift the elbows, ready for rotations, knees soft. Remember, if we've got osteoporosis, we're not going to worry about whether the hips are rotating and moving. If we do not have that diagnosis, however, we're not going to be encouraging the hips to rotate. So we rotate and back. So it should be, the movement should be coming from the rib cage. But if we've got osteoporosis, we're letting the hips move. We're not worrying about that because we don't want to put extra pressure on the spine, okay? So breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Controlled, steady. Last one to the right, last one to the left. And then let the hands relax by the side, ready for a sassy walk. So remember, when we sassy walk, we just let it all swing, lifting into the balls, into the toes, nice and steady. Controlled. Well, there's less control in this as there is when we're in the easy peelers. So just letting our body shift side to side, just for 4, 3, 2, and 1. We bring it down. And this time we're doing monkey squats, so I'm just changing my angle. Remember, if we've got shoulder issues, we can just have our arms by the side. We don't have to bring them into this movement. So we inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Nice and steady. Inhale and exhale. Core engaged. Tailbone tucked under. Keep going with that. So check, look down, check you can see your toes. Tailbone tucked under. If I popped a marble on your head, it just roll down like a little slide. So nice and steady. 4 more. And remember, you don't have to use your arms if you've got shoulder issues. 3, 2, last one. And relax. Bring it up. Bring the feet together. Easy peelers. Hands on the hips. Check the hips are level. And then gently. I've got a very squeaky floor in this part. Should have moved. So nice and steady. It's the sound of how my joints feel as I go through exercise. So just easy peelers. Let's just move off the squeaky floor. And then relax. Bring the feet down. Nice and steady. Big one foot in front, rotate in one direction, then the other, and then relax. Other leg, rotate in one direction, and the other. Maybe you can be doing this on the floor, and relax. Shake it out, we're going to go into our workout. So to begin with today, take your legs nice and wide, okay? So they're nice and wide. Once you've got them nice and wide, turn the feet slightly out to the corners of the room, so your heels are facing inwards. So you're on a nice wide stance between the legs. Tailbone is tucked under, so you've got that neutral spine, hands on your hips, shoulder blades relaxed. So the feet are turned out by about 30 degrees. We're going to lunge or squat into one side to side. And as you do so, check you can see your toes, come back to the center. So lunge to the other side and back. So it's like a lunging squat. So down, and you should feel that on the inside of the thigh as you're working, okay? So core engaged. Exhale as you come to the center. So inhale. So nice and steady. So 4 more. Last 2. Last one on the left. Now this time, take it to the right and let's have a pulse just for 8 and 7, but making sure the knee doesn't surpass the toe. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it up, other side, into position, and again pulse for 8, making sure the knee doesn't surpass the toe. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently straighten, walk them in fractionally, so they're still nice and wide, feet are turned out, tailbone under, plie squats, down and up. Now remembering, if you wanted to make this a little bit tougher, we could bring our arms up, nice and steady, just out, midway. Control, if you do bar, you know, this is just, your hands are in first, but we're just bringing them up midway to chest height. So 4 more. 3. Last 2. Last 1. Stay here. Hands can be up or hands can be down. Hands can be on the hips. Little pulse again. For 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Come up. Walk it in, give them a little shake, and sassy walk it out. So swing it out, swing it out. Nice and steady. So this time we're working on balance next, but also working on leg strength. So you may want a chair handy, or you may be using the wall. So I'm turning on a side by angle. We can have, so we've got our feet together. We can have our big toe resting on the floor. We could be using, I need to move back, this floor's got so squeaky there. So, hand could be resting on the floor, or we might have our hands on our hips. So, we're going to hinge at the hip, tip forward, bend in the front knee, and then come up. Now, we could do this and let the toe just skim along the floor. That's absolutely fine. We could be holding onto the chair, hold onto the wall, or we may just have our hands on the hips, or we may have that leg floating, but we need to be bending this front knee and hinging at the hips. So nice and steady, just for 8 and 7, 6, nice and steady. Inhaling as you come forward, exhaling as you come back. Last 4, 3, 2, last 1, and then bring it back. Sassy walk it out again, feet hip distance apart, swing it out. Let us now do the other side. So this time, so again, we might just have our hands, God, this floor's terrible today. Might have our hands on the wall, might have on our hips, big toe bend. Sorry, I know I've got my back to you. We can either be bending the knees, sliding this leg back. We want to be trying not to fall over like Gemma. Okay, so remember we can use that stability. Hinge from the hips, or Nice and steady. Controlled, keep it going nice and steady. So I'm just changing my direction so I'm facing you. So for 8, 7, we don't have to lift the foot off the floor. Remember, it's tough, this exercise. Last 4. And 3. And 2. Last 1. And relax. Feet together, easy peelers. So feet together and just peel the heels off the floor. So nice and steady. Controlled. And relax. Okay, standing with our feet hip distance apart, shoulder blades back and down. Remember, we can always take our thumb, little finger, take it over the toes. Check that the little toes are sitting between those 2 points. Core is engaged, nice and steady. Let us just take our arms in front, pull the shoulder blades together, and then pull them apart. So inhale as you pull them together, exhale as you pull them apart. So we inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So nice and steady. Controlled. 6 more scapular retractions. Last 4. And 3. Last 2. And last 1. And relax. Bring it down. 3 shoulder rolls back, 3 shoulder rolls forward. So just inhale, exhale. And change direction, just 3 forward. 1, 2, 3, and relax. This time, keeping that same posture with the feet, so hip distance apart, tailbone under neutral spine, elbows into the waist, dumb waiter. We've got our plate resting on our hands. Open and close. And if we wanted to make this more challenging, we could place a band and just use the thumb to hold it in place. You want a light band for this. So being conscious as you go through this movement that you're not getting floppy wrists, so the wrists start dropping down and they're not getting cocky, they're not turning up. It's just you're holding the plate, flat in the hand. You may find you've got more movement in one side than the other. Really good for shoulder impingement work, this one, to open everything back up. Or if you're really rounded in your chest, if you're quite large in your chest, you're quite rounded, really good exercise to do. So just 4 more. Last 3. Last 2. And last 1. And relax. Shake it out. And let us do 1 more exercise on the upper body before we move down. So this time, just keeping those feet hip distance apart, arms at 90 degrees, rotate for 8 and back. And again, being conscious that we're not flopping the wrists, okay? So nice and steady. So just 4 more. 3, 2, 1. And relax. Shake it out. So I did lie, we're just going to do 1 more exercise before we move down to the floor. So I want us to just do a balance and exercise, okay? So we're not going to do anything when we're moving, we're just going to be holding our balance exercise. So find a focus point in front of you. Don't use me because I wobble. As you've already seen today, I wobble all over the place. I'm like a piece of jello, me. So feet are together, hands on your hips. We're just going to bring our big toe onto the side of the foot. So it's tree. We use this in yoga and Pilates. So hips, index fingers come across, check their level, shoulders back and down, and we're just holding in this position. Now, if we wanted to challenge ourselves a little bit more, we can bring it onto the side of the calf and hold. We need to be keeping those hips level as we go through it, hips facing forward like the headlights of a car, shoulder blades back and down, and just holding that position. And whether the foot is on the floor against the toe and the heel is against the calf, or the foot's against the calf, it should be the foot pressing against the leg pressing against the foot. So the 2 points are pressing together. One side's not pressing into the other and the other isn't active. They're working together as a unit. Shoulder blades back and down. Focus on your breath. We can always use a chair or a wall. We can push our tongue to the roof of our mouth to assist us in our balance work. But it's really crucial as we get older to do balance work. Really does make a difference. Really using the left and right side of our brain. And it's really good to keep those pathways working, keep them strong, alongside the physicality of balance work as well. So bring it down gently, easy peelers. And let us do the other side. So big toe on the floor or on the calf. Check the hips are level. Adjust if you need to. Remember, if you know you've got one hip higher than the other and you've got that, you know, you're out, then it's always going to be out. So don't worry about trying to get them level because you won't. That's okay. So let us just focus there. Again, remember, foot pressing, leg pressing. They're pressing together. 2 equal points, equal in strength, equal in pressure. Shoulder blades back and down. Tailbone tucked under. Pelvic floor engaged, abdominal belt connected. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, turn the knee forward, leg comes back, and then just step hip distance. Sassy walk it out a little bit, and then we're moving down onto the floor. Nice and steady. Just checking time on the screen. Sort of like try to work it so I don't go over or don't go under. So come to the end of your mat, feet hip distance apart, shoulder blades back and down. And all we're going to do is inhale up, bend the knees, monkey squat, walk it forward, come onto all fours. Hands beneath the shoulders. Remember, if you've got wrist issues, we can take our hands into a fist. It means your table is going to be on a slight tilt, okay, if you've got the hands in a fist. So nice and steady. Elbows are slightly soft. Tailbone is pushing towards the back of the room, shoulder blades are drawing together. Eyes and nose are looking down, they're not looking under and they're not looking in front. Let us just simply tuck and lift. So tuck and lift, tuck and lift, tuck and lift. So nice and steady. And it's just the lumbar spine that's moving. Controlled. Always coming back to that tabletop position. So just for 4 and 3, 2, 1, and then bring it back to table and hold in that position. This time all we're doing, I'm going to just shift myself a bit further along the mat. So elbows are still soft, we're still in that tabletop position. We're going to take alternate leg behind us, tap, bring it back, okay? So we tap, bring it back. Now as we do this, we want to be keeping the hips level, the shoulders level. We're inhaling, exhaling when we bring it back. As if we're preparing ourselves for going into plank. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do the plank. So nice and steady. Control. This is just prep work, strengthening, stabilizing. Tap and release. 4 more. Last one. Now come back. Just gently rotate your wrist in one direction and then the other. Very gently. Take your knees as wide as your mat big toes together, we're coming back into shell. Now remember, if this is uncomfortable for you to come back into shell, keep yourself, you can either put a cushion between the heels and the bottom, or have your knees facing forward so you've not got that external rotation going on, and then bring it back, or keep the bum in the air and let the arms reach forward. It's going to change the stretch slightly, but you get the best out of it and feel the most comfortable. So arms reaching out in front, or like me, I've just got my hands releasing. Tuck your tailbone under and you should get a nice release into the lower back. So regardless of it, if you've got your bum in the air, don't worry, just tuck that tailbone under, even up in the air. You're still getting a nice stretch into the lower back. So let's just hold it there for a few moments. Just enjoying that stretch. We're going to take a deep breath. And as we exhale, we're slowly going to gently come up. We're going to come down onto our belly. So come up, walk the knees back, and come down onto the belly. So we can just take our arms in front and let our forehead rest on the hands if we're comfortable with that, or we can place a cushion underneath our forehead. We want our feet so they're just hip distance apart. Hips are pressing into the mat. Bottom, give it a wobble, should be like jello, okay? So there should be no tension going on in the bottom at this point in time. Feet are hip distance apart, and we're just breathing as we have done all the way through, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Shoulders are relaxed, eyes are looking down. And all we're going to do is, so you're going to point both toes for me. So we point both toes. If you're not sure, just lift my foot, see, I'm just pointing my toes, think ballerina toes. And then I'm going to bring it one leg up towards my bottom, so my leg bends at 90 degrees, then I flex the foot, then I point the toes, and then I take it down. And then I do the same with the opposite leg. So I point, bend it, flex it, point it, bring it down. So up, flex, point, down. Now if you find that the point is uncomfortable because you've maybe suffered with sciatica, then do it without the point. Try the flex, see how that feels. And again, if you find that the flex is too much, then just bring the leg up and down. You're still getting an effective workout. It's working slightly differently, but there's no point aggravating sciatica and making yourself feel worse, because that's just the worst and you don't need it. We don't need it generally, and right now life is tough enough without making things harder for ourselves. So just bringing it up, flex, back, down. Up, flex, back, down. Up, flex, back. Oh, excuse me. Keep going. One more on the right, one more on the left. And relax. This time, keeping the head down, just give that a little shake out. Let the bum be nice and soft, nice and relaxed. This time, again, if we suffer with sciatica, we just keep the feet relaxed. If we've got no issues with sciatica going on, we can point the toes. We're going to lift one leg. So you just lift the leg up off the floor. Now, if the foot's relaxed because you've got sciatica, that's also fine, okay? All you're doing when you point the toes, you're just recruiting and tightening the muscles a little bit more, okay? Just increasing that contraction. So don't worry about it if you've got them relaxed, and bring it down. So we just lift and down as if you're just splashing your legs, maybe just your feet up and down, nice and steady. And what we should feel as we go through this lift is we should feel the hamstrings and the glutes activating, the lower back muscles activating. But it should be sort of hamstrings, glutes, lower back. Nice and steady. Inhaling as you lift, exhaling as you bring it down. So nice and controlled. So let's have one more on the right, one more on the left. And relax. And then this time, so just shake it out. Shake it out. And then this time, we're just gently lifting the head, looking down and back. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Nice and steady. Last two. And the glutes should be switched off as you're doing this exercise. And relax. Just turn the head in one direction, let it relax there for a moment. So yeah, so when we're doing that back extension, the glutes should be like jello. They shouldn't be sort of like activated. Now if you find that as you do it, you just can't help but activate them, then that lets us know that there is something going on, like that your muscles aren't necessarily working in the right sequential order. Maybe there's a bit of weakness going on. Gently rotate the head in the opposite direction. Now it's much easier, obviously, in the olden times, always in the studio, I might say this. You could say, Gemma, can you put your hands on my bum? And I could go, right, okay, this is what's working and this is what not. So now we've got to get a little bit more conscious in our own bodies, because we can't necessarily rely on someone else to feel and work that out for us. Bring the head back to the center. So if you do find that, like when you're doing that little lift, that your glutes are naturally activating, are they activating at the bottom or are they activating at the top? So if they're activating at the bottom, you're recruiting the muscles to support you in doing that. So that tells you that there is a weakness going on in the lower back. So then you would need to do, roll onto your side. You'd want to be doing exercises that are going to help to support you, strengthen up the lower back without incorporating the glutes. So, waffling, come over onto your side. You're going to want your cushion and potentially your block for this. So remember, you've got two options. When we lay on our side, we can lay with our arm long and we can let the head rest on it. Just make sure the head's not dropping so you're not getting that crease in the neck. Or we can rest on our block and our cushion. Now that's my personal preference, but that's because I've got shoulder issues. So just make sure that's out of the way. Don't want to knock my glasses. So coming down, resting on our side. We want our legs as if we're sitting on a chair. Got this arm out in front, but it might be underneath. So we can have one hand in front, fingers spread out, offering us assistance with support on the hip, or we could rest our hand on our bum to challenge us some more. So take a look at where your knees are. So we want the hips to be in alignment, the shoulders to be in alignment, the knees, the ankles to be in alignment. You might find that the knees are slightly out, so we need to level them up, but we need to keep the hips level at the same time. Once you've done that, okay, core engaged, we're going to very gently, side open gait on the floor. You're going to lift the leg up as if you're, I always say this when we're doing the standing up version of it, but as if you're trying to kick your leg up a tree, slightly different, and then bring it down. So nice and steady. So we're lifting it up, side open gait on the floor, and then bringing it down. And as it comes down, you want to make sure it's coming down in exactly the same place it lifted off. So nice and steady. Taking your time. Inhale. And exhale. And you should feel the glutes being activated as we go through this, particularly sort of glute med, piriformis. Okay, so 4 more of these side open gaits. Inhaling as you're lifting, exhaling as you're bringing it down. Last 2. Oh, I tell you one thing, my glutes are certainly awake this morning. And bring it back and relax. Give it a pat. Give it a rub, hopefully it's working. So checking they're level, hand in front, on the side, down by the side, feet together, simple cobbler. Let's just inhale and close. So that clam's opening up. I said cobbler, didn't I? I meant clam. So nice and steady, open and close. And you should feel further activation going on in the glutes, or maybe my boots, maybe my glutes have just been awakened this weekend by some running and a bit of heavy hiking I've done. So nice and steady. 4 more. And 3, 2, last one. And relax. Give it a pat. It's awake. It's alive. So nice and steady. So keep it in this position. This time, all we're going to do is straighten out this top leg and then let it slide back above so it comes straight and then slide forward. I'm saying slide because what I don't want you to do is swing it through the movement. So we could swing it and it would just be like la 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 la. We need control. So we're sliding it through and it only comes as far as it feels right. So if anything feels uncomfortable, we certainly shouldn't be in pain. We want the muscles to fatigue, but we shouldn't be in pain. So nice and steady. Controlled. So breathing as it comes back, exhaling as it comes forward. Last 2. Last one. And relax. Bend. Pat. Give it a little rub. And very gently we're going to roll onto our back. So take the block and cushion away and come over onto your back. Now if you know you've got an overextension in the neck, then you may want your cushion underneath your head. We're doing some imprints and then we'll be doing some bridge. But if you know you haven't got that overextension in the neck, then you don't want a cushion under your head when we're doing bridge. And sometimes I find if I put a cushion under my head when I'm doing imprints, there's a possibility my head might get cozy and I might forget to take it out during bridge. So take a moment. Are your eyes looking up towards the ceiling? Okay, we want them looking straight up. If they're looking behind, we need to nod the chin. If they're looking in front, we need to lift the chin. Hands just resting by the side of the bottom. Nice and steady, simple imprints. Took the tailbone up to the ceiling, imprint in the lower back. Imprint mid, imprint upper. Very gently release the upper, mid, lower. So again, so just imprint and release. So nice and steady, controlled. Keep going. Nice and steady. Controlled. And I know I say it every time I teach imprints, but I just love imprints so much. they're just one of my favourites. So 2 more. And last one. And then bring it to neutral. This time pelvic bridge. So very gently. And remember, if pelvic bridge feels too much or uncomfortable at any point, come back down. You can always do imprints or have a rest. So gently. Tilt the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Imprint the lower back. Begin to lift. And then sequentially bring the upper, mid, lower back to neutral. So tailbone tucks under, begin to lift. Bringing it down. Nice and steady, controlled. Okay, last two. And last one. Gently bringing it down, bringing the knees together, and gently swaying side to side. Just a little bit of a sway. And then very gently we're going to roll over onto our opposite side. So I'm going to roll onto my opposite side, but I'm just going to shift around on my mat so I'm still facing the TV, facing the monitor. So nice and steady, opposite side. So what we do one side of the body, we must do the other. So working on that side leg series. Again, remember when we're working on our side, we can have our arm long, we could be resting the head on the cushion if we so wish. So I prefer, because I've got shoulder impingement issues on both sides, but they're on and off. They come and go depending on what I'm up to. So, getting myself into position. I'm sitting on that chair, remember. My shoulders are stacked, my hips are stacked, my ankles are beneath my knees, and my knees are level. And what you've got to be really conscious of is that as your knees are level, make sure that the hip isn't rocking forward to get that level. We need to keep the hips level and adjust the knee, get it in position, but without dropping the hip forward. So side open gate from here. Hand could be on the floor, on the hip, or by the side. I like to have my hand on the hip, feel the control of my hip, feel the direction of my hip. So I'm lifting, and then I'm bringing it back, nice and steady. So inhaling, exhaling, control. So last three. Last two. And last one. Relax, give it a pat. Sounds a bit vicious, my pat, doesn't it? Give it a rub, make sure it's there. And then very gently, let us go into clam. So open and close. I'm determined to call this cobbler this morning. So open and close. And you should be really feeling that into the glute med, to the performance, into the glutes overall, but you should be, oh, mine's really, really saying hello this morning. So just 4 more. 3, 2, and last one. And then bring it down. Give it a pat, give it a rub, and then this time, so keeping those hips level, hand in front, we straighten the leg out and we're taking it back into a straight line and we're sliding it forward. So remember, there's no swinging motion, only comes as far as feels right, and then bring it back into that straight line. So inhaling as it's coming forward, exhaling as it's going back. Last one. And relax. Bend it. Give it a pat. Give it a rub. And we're rolling over onto our backs again. Nice and steady. So at this point, if you so wish, you could have your cushion underneath. So roll onto your backs. Oh. Sorry, ignore me with my noises. And feet are hip distance apart, hands are just resting by the side. Core is engaged. We've got that neutral spine position. Now, if, regardless of whether you've got your head on a cushion or head on the floor, just make sure that eye alignment is looking up. If it's looking behind, nod the chin. If it's looking in front, lift the chin. So we want that nice eye alignment looking straight. So we're not putting any extra pressure onto the cervical plane. Core is engaged, hands by the side of the bottom, neutral spine position. Gently bring one leg up to 90 degrees. Once it's there, if we have no sciatica, flex the foot. If we've got sciatica issues going on, you can have the foot relaxed. That's absolutely fine. What we want is to be able to rest a tray on that shin, okay? So all we're doing, we've got three options when it comes to this. We can push upwards, we can push diagonally, or we can push downwards. It's really important that you take note of how that feels in your lower back as you go through that movement to make the decision as to which position is right for you. So, out and in. So whether it's diagonal, whether it's up to the ceiling, whether it's that downward motion, just controlled and steady. Just for 8, breathing in, breathing out as it comes back. 6 more. Last 2. Bring it down. Same on the other leg. Remember, foot flexed. If we've got no sciatica issues, just let it be. We can push up, diagonal, or up. So nice and steady. So out and in. Go with the plane of motion that feels right for you. Remember, we should never be in pain. We want to feel the muscles fatiguing, and it's really good to be conscious of what muscle fatigue feels like as opposed to pain. Okay, so muscle fatigue is an ache. Feels like it's been stretched maybe, it's not used to it. A pain, you know, it should be like you should be having that sensation of ow, you know, as you're doing it. If you're not getting an ow, I mean, I'm not saying ow doesn't mean you're not in pain, because you could be in pain, but I think sometimes when you've had a long-term chronic pain, you start to lose the ability to recognize pain and recognize muscle fatigue. So last 2, last 1, and bring it back, bring it down. Feet together, knees together, gently sway, side to side. 5 past 2, 5 to 2. If you can go further and you wish to, then do so, but certainly don't force anything. Gently coming back to center, turn your heels out, feet out, hip distance apart. Take both arms up and take it so your palms are facing forward. So they're chest level and the palms are facing forward, chest is shoulder distance apart. Let us as if we're swimming backstroke. Now remember, so I'm just going to take this arm, this bottom arm out of motion for a second. So what I want you to be conscious of is this arm that's coming over the head. Once it comes to the point where you begin to lift your rib cage off the floor, then that's too high. Okay, so it might not be a huge range of movement. So I know mine's not a huge range of movement. I can't even bring it. If I bring it any further than there, then I'm going to start to lift my rib cage, and I don't want to do that. So nice and steady, bringing in that sort of shoulder, scapular movement going on, controlled, taking our time. Just for 4, 3, 2, and 1, and bringing them both back, this time both together. So again, being really conscious that the rib cage at the top isn't starting to lift or the spine isn't starting to arch. So inhaling, exhaling. Now this time bringing them back down towards the hips. So inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. So last two. And last one. And then relax, bring the hands down. Very gently, very smoothly. Roll to your side and gently push yourself up to a comfortable position, okay? So coming over onto our knees. Now, if we have knee issues, you may want to put a cushion or a block under your knees. I'm going to rotate around this way. If you have no knee issues, I'm double matted on a carpet, and it depends what underlying you have underneath on your carpet as well. So I just say it's good for this exercise to cushion underneath the knees. So feet are flat to the floor, bring your hands to your hips. So I'm just being conscious I've got the wall, I'm kind of do it, yeah, there we go. Let me move further back actually, I'm on the noisy floorboard section of the loft. So feet are flat to the floor. Tailbone is tucked under, so remember that neutral spine position, core engaged. Point the toes, lift and down, lift and down, lift and down. Just for 8. Six more, so 1 is 1 on both sides. Just in case, Gemma, you were thinking, Gemma, you can't count, which to be fair, most of the time I can't, but 1 on each side equals 1. Last 2. That's 1, and then another 1. And relax. Very gently bring your hands across the chest. Come back for 8. Core engaged, remember. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And relax. Okay, very gently, being conscious of, so we've been on the floor a little bit, our heart rate's a little bit high now. Which side is weaker, okay, or stronger? You want to lead with your weaker leg forward. I know we're coming up, don't worry, we've still got a few more exercises to go yet. So, nice and steady, toes tucked under, gives you a little bit of assist. Remember, if coming up in this position is not comfortable for you, then come up in another fashion that is, that's absolutely fine. So let's inhale, lift up, and exhale down. Nice and steady. So face in the front, feet to hip distance apart, hands on your hips. Check that the hips are level. Nice and steady, shoulder blades back and down. Once there, we're going to lift the right leg up. So big toe can be on the floor, remember. Really important that as you lift the leg, or it might be floating, that you're not tilting into one side. So big toe on the floor or lifted. Nice and steady. All we're going to do is take it out. So we've done a lot into glute med today. So just taking it out, and we can do it here or we can let it skim along the floor. So just for 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back. Sassy, walk it out. Swing it out. And let it relax. Very gently, same on the other side. So, into position, big toe on the floor, or we can lift. We can skim along the floor or not. Skim or not. So just for 4, 3, 2, keeping that balance, last 1. And relax. Sassy walk again. Let it swing out. Swing it out. Nice and steady. Very gently, let it relax. Rock the pelvis. Knees soft, one last time. Just rock that pelvis, lower back. Neutral spine in position. Step your right foot forward. As you do so, push your bum back. So you're going to hinge, okay? So we're going to hinge here, stretching into our hamstrings. And if we've got sciatica issues, we're going to keep the foot on the floor. If we've got no sciatica issues, we may want to lift the toe and change the dynamics of that stretch just slightly. But you certainly don't have to. So hold in that position. So stretching into the hamstring, which is that big muscle on the back of the thigh. Hold it there for a moment. Taking a deep breath. As you exhale, slowly coming up, and opposite leg comes out. Again, hinge from the hip. So we can keep the foot flat to the floor or we can lift. It's really what feels right for us, what feels right and comfortable for us. And hold it there. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, come up. This time we're working on stretching out the quadriceps, which is front of the thighs, so you may want a wall or a chair to hold on to. So we're just going to bend the leg, and we can take hold of the socks, the leggings, or the foot. Knees come together. Remember, we can push our tongue to the roof of the mouth to help us with our stability. Hold it there. Certainly don't use me because I wobble. I've already said I'm jello today. Holding it there. Someone's cutting the hedge. Or a tree. It sounds pretty severe. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, take that leg down. Find your focus point and then lift the other leg up. And hold it there. Ouch. Ignore me, just getting cramp in my hand. So remember, we can push our tongue to the roof of the mouth. We might be using a wall, a chair to use to assist us in our balance. That's absolutely fine. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, gently bring it down. So I'm just coming back a little bit. Take your legs nice and wide. Turn your feet out to the corners of the room without falling over like me. Slide your hands down to the inside of the thighs. Just push open the inner thighs just for a moment. And then we're going to come up and we're going to have 2 deep breaths. So let's inhale up. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Relax. Give it a shake. Walk it into hip distance. Neutral spine. Pelvic floor engaged. Abdominal belt connected. Shoulder blades back and down. Juicy peach under that chin. Good job. And you're sorted. I hope you're doing okay. Take care, and I will maybe see you next week. Ciao for now.